Hello y'all, this is Primetron Zero, and today I'm going to do another Transformers review about the Decepticon Blackout. Now Blackout made his first appearance in Transformers Generation 1. I think he appeared in the second season, if I'm not correct, or the third season. And he was created by Starscream, because Starscream created the Combaticons in Transformers Generation 1. And Blackout, he took the form of a gray military helicopter. And he was a combiner. He was part of a combiner. He was part of the Combaticons, And his design was really cool. He was a very strong Decepticon. Now, this was the first time he made his debut in G1, And his design was kind of different from his other counterparts. It was almost kind of similar to his movie counterpart. He had like the red visor, but he was also like a gray color. Also, he made an appearance in Transformers Animated. And I have to say, most of the versions of Blackout, you realize he mostly takes the form of a helicopter, a chopper, and he had other designs. Like, I know there was a version of him when he takes the form of a jet, a plane, and he was also a Decepticon, but his design was really different. He was like a blue and white color, but he made many appearances in Transformers Animated. He made many appearances in the Transformers comics. He made his first appearance in Transformers Generation 1. He also made an appearance in the Transformers live-action movies. He made his first appearance in Transformers 1. And he was also the very first Transformer they introduced in the very beginning, in the opening of Transformers 1, And it all started when Lennox and his team, these soldiers, were just coming back, from, I guess, their mission. And they was talking about how they cannot wait to get home, and see their family. And as they were on their way to the military base, when they touched down, because they was on the helicopter plane, and when they touched down, they I guess they were getting ready to go home, and Lennox couldn't wait to see his wife, who just had their daughter. She was a baby at the time, Lennox's daughter, and he could not wait to get home, and as he was talking to his wife, and she showed him his daughter, and, he could not wait to see his daughter and see his wife. And as this was going on, this is when the military was seeing the unidentified aircraft. My fault, y'all. I'm a little tongue twisted today. They were seeing a aircraft which was unknown. It was unidentified aircraft, and one of the soldiers was saying to the main guy, the leader, of the military. He was saying that, this helicopter looks familiar. He was saying that his friend was on this helicopter and it got shot down 2 months ago, and he said his friend was on the helicopter. So the guy was like, this is crazy. And and I guess they was wondering how this helicopter is still flying around if it got shot down 3 months ago. And they was wondering what this chopper was. They were saying, if you don't comply, we will kill you. That was the main guy. I think his name was General Warshowers. That's his name, General. The general was saying, if you don't comply, we will kill you, and he was saying, "Have your crew step out, or we will shoot." And the helicopter touched down, and it had a guy inside, but it was weird. It was like a hologram of a guy, and the helicopter propeller was still spinning. Then it stopped. Then the propellers went back, and the next thing you know, it started transforming, and then that's when we got a glimpse of Blackout. We see him transform for the first time, and this is when everybody in the movie theaters was going crazy. It was just a classic moment, especially to me, when I first seen Transformers 1, seeing that sound and hearing that sound from from G1, the cartoon, hearing that, the Transformer sound, and seeing him transform was just incredible. Seeing Blackout, because he was the first Transformer they introduced in Transformers 1. He was the first one we got a glimpse of in the very beginning. He was the very first Decepticon they introduced, and soon he transformed, the military started firing at him, and it seemed like it was doing anything. And he started using his firepower, and he started wiping out the complete military base. He was destroying everything in his wake. It was like a huge explosion, and it just blew everything away. All military vehicles was just completely decimated, destroyed. He was even like picking up tanks, blowing them up. He destroyed a complete military base, and he wiped most of the military out. Because he had, one thing about Blackout, he's very powerful, and he has a lot of firepower, and he seemed very big for a Decepticon. He was really big. He was huge, and one thing about him, he's very dangerous, and he's very lethal, and he's very loyal to Megatron. That's what I could say about him. And he's very powerful, and we got a glimpse of that in the very beginning of Transformers 1, and he wiped out so many. He wiped out even the airplanes. He wiped out the complete military base. Military base was completely wiped out. And Lennox and them barely survived. They almost didn't make it, but somehow they survived. Also, he had a companion which inject from his back, which was Scorponok, which I want to talk about that in one of my next videos, Scorponox. But I really like the Blackout character. I really love his design, not just his G1 design, but I also love his design in Transformers 1. Now, Transformers 1 was the only part that he made his appearance in. Now, there was another character similar to him in Transformers 2. He was more of a greener color, and his name was Grinder. If you look at Grinder and if you look at Barricade, they look a lot similar. They just different color. Grinder was more of a green color. Blackout was more of a silver color, he made his appearance in Transformers 1. I would say 2, he made his second appearance, but that was another character called Grinder who had the same design. He had the same look too. He looks exactly like Blackout, just different color, And I really love his design, and I think they got Grinder from his design. They basically got his Grinder's concept from Blackout, But I want to know from my subscribers, what's your favorite version of Barricade? My fault. What's your favorite version of Blackout? Is it the G1 Blackout, or is it the live action movie Blackout? Is it the Transformers animated Blackout? Is it the comic book version of Blackout? And I think most versions of Blackout, he took the form of a military helicopter. I think that's what they stuck, what I like how they stuck with. And even in the Transformers live action movies, like they made him a lot similar to his G1 counterpart, because he was a military helicopter too. And he was originally a combiner. He was part of the Combaticons, you know. And I really love his G1 design, but I also really love his live action movie design. You know, I love his design in Transformers 1. It was so unique. And he had different weapons. He had a lot of firepower. He also had a weapon that was one of his propellers that he used. It looks like it was like some type of a fan that he used, you know, but he has a lot of firepower. He had like guns on his arm that he shoots and does a lot of damage. It shoots like lasers, you know what I mean? It shoots like laser, you know, he shoots energy from his arms, you know. He has a lot of firepower. That's one thing I could say about Barricade. He has a lot of firepower, and he's very strong. And he also made an appearance at the end of Transformers 1, and he got taken out by Lennox and them, you know. And not just Lennox, it was also military Raptors that they took him out. They had to shoot missiles at him to take him down, you know. So they all had to work together to take out Blackout. And that proves how tough Blackout is, because he was very dangerous, and he was the first Decepticon that really made his first appearance in the live action movies. He made his first appearance. He was the first Transformer that transformed, and he was the first one that made his appearance. His appearance to me will always be phenomenal and incredible, because he was the first that they introduced us in the live action movies, you know what I mean? And it's just a memorable moment, you know. It's just something that is just so classic, you know. And I just love his design. I love his personality, you know, and he just seems really dangerous. He's vicious, and he's very powerful, you know what I mean? And he's very loyal to Megatron, you know what I mean? And he's very powerful. He has a lot of firepower. But he made, many appearances throughout the different versions of Transformers. And I just want to know from my subscribers, what's your favorite version of Blackout? You know, what's your favorite version? And I really loved his, the toy, because the toy looks a lot like the movie, you know what I mean? But they had different versions of Blackout, you know. Because it's a version, his G1 version, he's a combiner. And he's part of the Combaticons. Also, he made his appearance in, also he made many appearances. Like, he made an appearance in Transformers Animated, you know what I mean? You know, he made an appearance in the Transformers comics, you know what I mean? And he also made a lot of appearances, even in, the live action movies, you know, Transformers 1, you know. And I just want to know, what's your favorite Blackout moment? You know, my favorite Blackout moment is in the very beginning of Transformers 1, when we got a glimpse of him, and when he transformed, it was just incredible. And then when he demonstrated his power, you know, how powerful he was, and it was just only him that took out just a complete military base, you know. You know, it was crazy. It's just really, that shows how powerful he is. And his companion is Scorponok, you know. And I just love his design, you know. His design is really cool. And I just want to know from my subscribers, what's your favorite version of Blackout, you know. And do you like the live action movie Blackout? And I just want to know, did he do any